Hello, I'm Oliver Colling, and this is the My 70s TV Childhood Quiz. Welcome back to the next instalment of our ongoing series of 1970s TV-related quizzes. If you're joining us for the first time, then you are most welcome. And if you're a regular listener, well, you know what's coming. First of all, I have another apology to make. In my haste to pay tribute to the great Ian Lavender in our last quiz instalment, I got one of the answers wrong. I've had stern words with the research team here at My 70s TV Childhood as I was looking in the mirror in the bathroom this morning, and I need to issue a correction. Pike was not turned down from the army because he was allergic to corned beef, because that was Private Walker. Pike was turned down because he had a rare blood group. Many apologies for that error, and well done if you now have an extra point from the last quiz. And I'll say special thanks to Stephen, who pointed this out in a very nice, polite way on our Facebook page, which I have to say was in contrast to another listener who rather lambasted me via email for this typically, schoolboy error. Look, it's just for fun, and whilst I know many of you are fiercely competitive, we do try our best to get the right answers. If you want to correct any glaring errors, or just let me know how you're doing with the quiz, you can do so by visiting one of our many social media pages, like Stephen did on Facebook. Or you can leave a comment on our blog at www.my70stvchildhood.com, or you can email quiz@my70stvchildhood.com. So, without further ado, let's go on to this week's quiz. It's all really simple. We have 4 rounds. Each round has 5 questions, and each correct answer is worth a point. And what do points make? Okay, let's go to round 1. And this time we have a birthday-themed round called Birthday Bonanza. This episode is due to be released on my actual birthday, so I've been a little bit indulgent and looked back in the annals to see which TV stars share a February birthday with me. So, here we go with round 1. Question 1. Which actor was born on the 24th of February 1948 and starred in 2 hugely popular London-based dramas of the 1970s? Here's a clue. He wrote and sang the theme tune to one of the shows. Question 2. Which actor was born on 5th of February 1922 in Paddington in London? His first name was Daniel, but he went by his middle name in his acting career. But who was it? Question 3. The real-life wife of the late John Thor was born on the 22nd of February 1933. An accomplished stage, film and TV actress herself. What's her name? Question 4. On the 22nd of February 1928, one of the 1970s most popular entertainers was born in Edmonton in London. Who was it? And did his mum think it was nice to see him? And question 5. A regular feature in 1970s TV with appearances in all kinds of dramas. Which actress, who went on to even better things on TV in the 80s, 90s and beyond, was born on the 17th of February 1929? How was that? I might have been a little bit generous with a couple of clues there, so perhaps I need to be a bit tougher in the next rounds. Now, round 2 is our marathon or Fil Rouge round, named in honour of It's a Knockout, and its European version is Just on Frontier. In this round, we revisit previous episodes of the podcast. Don't worry if you haven't listened to every episode, you should be able to guess most of these. So, let's go over to Uncle Eddie on the Fil Rouge. Question 1. When we look back at Secret Army last year, we spent a bit of time discussing the evil Gestapo chief who featured in the show. What was his name? And if you can get both his first and second name, there's a bonus point in it for you. Question 2. In Porridge, which we featured in 2022, what sentence was handed down to Norman Stanley Fletcher in the opening sequence? Question 3. In our episode last year featuring It Ain't Half Hot Mum, we mentioned that Windsor Davies and Donna Stell had a number 1 hit record. What was it called? Question 4. In one of our very first episodes way back, our guest George talked about his hometown being one of the few places where you could tell which part of town you were in by the smell. Where was that? And question 5. In our 50th episode, we look back to 1972 and some of the shows that were in the schedules then. One of those was an Australian drama which featured Woobinda. What did Woobinda do, which was reflected in the rest of the title of the programme? So what did Woobinda do? Bit of a mixture of relatively easy and quite tricky, I think, there. So halfway through, and let's go on to our next round, which is a mashup, as I believe the kids say, between our famous Spin the Wheel and Name That Tune rounds. As regular listeners will recall, I will spin our specially constructed, at vast expense, Wheel of Fate, which will determine a year. Once that's done, I will feed that year into our AI-powered random theme tune generator, which will give me 5 theme tunes of TV shows which were first shown on UK TV during that year. Confused? Well, I think I am a bit after that explanation, but just bear with me and go with it. Let's spin the wheel. And this week we're going to land on 1979. And let's just plug that into the AI random theme tune generator and wait a little while. Here's theme tune 1. And theme number 2. Bit scary, that one, I remember. And on to theme 3. And now, theme tune number 4. And finally, theme tune number 5, which I think is a relatively easy one. How did you get on? Not too easy, but not too hard, which I think feels like a pretty good ideal quiz round. And so, we're at the final round already, and this is our TV Times round, where anything goes 70s TV trivia style. Are you ready? Well, let's play. Question 1. In the US TV show that was shown on British TV, The Odd Couple, Felix Unger, played by Jack Klugman, aka Quincy, moved in with his childhood friend Oscar Madison. Who played Oscar? Question 2. By what name were Harry Rule, Contessa Caroline di Contini, and Paul Bucher known collectively? So what name were Harry Rule, Contessa Caroline di Contini, and Paul Bucher known collectively? Question 3. In Coronation Street, who was killed by a single gunshot to the stomach on 11th of January 1978? And question 4. What famous and often repeated TV play did Mike Leigh call a stage play that was wheeled into a television studio? A stage play that was wheeled into a television studio. Quite a nice phrase, that. And finally, question 5. Which 1978 BBC musical drama, written by Dennis Potter and starring the great Bob Hoskins, took its title from a song written by Johnny Burke and Arthur Johnston? And that's it. Now, while you're checking your answers, and not Googling for the answers, please, so put that phone down. You know who I'm talking to. Let's give you the answers to last time's bonus question. In the Hanna-Barbera animated version of the Harlem Globetrotters, what was the name of the team's manager, who also drove the team bus and also looked after the team's mascot, a dog called Dribbles? Great name, hey? And the answer was Granny. Well done if you got that right. This week's bonus question is quite a simple one. In Bless This House, the legendary Sid James played the father of the family, and he worked as a travelling salesman. What did he sell? So what did Sid James's character in Bless This House sell? Bit tricky for some, I suspect, but if you know the answer, then let me know. Drop me a line to quiz@my70stvchildhood.com. Right then, without further ado, let's go on to this week's answers. First off, my self-indulgent Birthday Bonanza round. Which actor, born on 24th of February 1948, starred in 2 hugely popular London-based dramas? Who wrote and sang the theme tune, which should have been a big clue? It was Dennis Waterman. Question 2. The actor born on 5th of February 1922, whose first name was Daniel, was John Steed himself, Patrick Macnee. Question 3. The wife of John Thor, an accomplished actress herself, born on 22nd of February 1933, was Sheila Hancock. And question 4. On the 22nd of February 1928, one of the 1970s most popular entertainers was born. And did his mum think it was nice to see him nice? It was Bruce Forsyth, of course. And question 5. Regular feature in 1970s TV with lots of appearances in all kinds of things, but then who went on to be more famous in her own right in the 80s, 90s and beyond. Born on the 17th of February 1929 and still going strong, Patricia Routledge. Okay, on to round 2, our marathon Fil Rouge round. What was the name of the Gestapo chief in Secret Army? And everyone I'm sure said, who remembers this, would have said Kessler, but his first name was Ludwig, so Ludwig Kessler. And if you get that, you get a bonus point for Ludwig. Question 2. In Porridge, what sentence was handed down to Norman Stanley Fletcher in the opening sequence? I think we all remember this one. It was 5 years. Question 3. In our episode last year featuring It Ain't Half Hot Mum, we mentioned that Windsor Davies and Donna Stell had a #1 hit record. What was it called? It's called Whispering Grass. Question 4. Our guest George talked about his hometown being one of the few places where you could tell which part of the town you were in by the smell. And that was the beautiful town of Widnes, which at the time, and I think it might still be, a huge centre of chemical manufacturing. And question 5, in our 50th episode, we looked at Woobinda. And what did Woobinda do? Well, the show was subtitled by his occupation. It's Woobinda Animal Doctor. So he was a vet, basically. So if you've got animal doctor or vet, you get the point. And now on to our Name That Tune, Spin the Wheel combo. Oh, combo, that's another way of saying mashup, I think, isn't it? Anyway, I'm getting there with it. Down with the kids, you know. First tune was Wurzel Gummidge. The second tune was that slightly scary science fiction programme, Sapphire and Steel. Question 3, I think, was a bit of a tricky one. The theme tune was to Benson. And if you remember, Benson was the spin-off from the American TV show Soap. Theme tune 4 was the opening to John le Carré's Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. And theme tune 5, this one a bit easier, I think. It was a show that launched Robbie Williams to stardom. Did I say Robbie Williams? Robin Williams to stardom. It was Mork and Mindy. Okay, well, I hope you're doing all right so far. Anyway, it can all be made up in the last round. Our TV Times round. Question 1. In The Odd Couple, who played Felix Unger's friend Oscar Madison? It was Tony Randall. Question 2. By what name were Harry Rule, Contessa Caroline de Contini and Paul Bucher known collectively? They were The Protectors, with one of my favourite theme tunes. Question 3. In Coronation Street, who was killed by a single gunshot to the stomach on 11th of January 1978? It was the unfortunate and possibly the most boring character ever to appear in the programme, Ernie Bishop. Question 4. What famous and oft-repeated TV play did Mike Leigh call a stage play that was wheeled into a television studio? It was the very memorable Abigail's Party. And finally, question 5. Which 1978 BBC musical drama, written by Dennis Potter and starring Bob Hoskins, took its title from a song written by Johnny Burke and Arthur Johnston? It was Pennies from Heaven. Right then, so how did you do this time? Are you having extra custard on your McVitie's Jamaican ginger cake tonight? Or are you left with a bowl of slightly out-of-date butterscotch instant whip instead? Whichever. I hope you've enjoyed playing. And I hope you'll join us in a week's time for the next episode of our podcast and in a fortnight for our next quiz. In the meantime, take care, have a good week, and join us again soon for more from My 70s TV Childhood and the My 70s TV Childhood quiz.